Good afternoon, everyone, and happy TGIF Day, October 21st, 2022. And I've kind of got you inside the cupboard, so to speak, so that's kind of weird looking. Anywho, hopefully you can hear me all right. I have been creating in the kitchen ever since I got to Indiana because let's just face it, that's just one of those things that everybody enjoys because your body can't function without food. So today for me is bonus day 100. What is it? 144. Right? Does that sound right? 44, 145. Because yesterday was a 9. Yesterday was 144. Yeah, so that's 9. Yeah, so 145. My temperature is in the hypothermia level, which is like in the 80s. It was 88. In fact, let's see where it's at right now. And frankly, according to man, I should have been checked out a long time ago. 89.1. Okay, so I'm still fully functioning and my temperature being 89.1, despite man saying it's hypothermia. Normally, my hands are a little chillier than normal, but once I start cooking, I thought, you know what, I haven't done a video in the kitchen in a while, and I felt inspired, not compelled. That was not right. So I felt inspired to, I just cannot get this right. Sorry. You're going to be inside the cupboard unless I move you. But anyway, looks like a frame, kind of, sort of. I've been compelled to cook more, and I feel like I can share so much more of me in it. And I've been very creative thinking outside the box because when I start noticing drastic things in my body changing, I realize salt intake needs to increase, and my pain level has increased exponentially. So I've had to supplement with RSO. Thank God I got a gift. Wow, that was a great gift because I've graduated from THC and need RSO. And I will preface that with it is known to cure cancer. And keeping your, alkalinity, that's another key. And it all revolves around salt. And that's why, that's what sparked my whole thing of, well, I'm going to cook and talk about it. And it will be easier for me to just do it live because things may pop up in my head while I'm going. And if people jump in, they'll be able to catch up to speed quickly. So adding salt to my beloved diet is something my body never needed until this year. I've never needed to add salt. If it called for it in a recipe, I was very minimal at the amount that I would add. There's something about cookies, though, the salt's sweet, because I could always taste the salt. In cookies, most people just looked at me and said, there's salt in here. I could taste the teaspoon of salt in a batch of cookies. That's how much I can taste salt. That's why I never needed it. Even with all the insanity workouts I ever did, I never needed salt. Now I need it. I'm drinking bone broth with a half of a bouillon cube with no added water. And now I taste salt. So I'm hopeful that this is going to bring it up to par. But the one thing that doctors want to constantly brainwash people with is salt's bad for our body. That's not even true. I mean, let's talk about the scripture in Matthew. I'm not sure if it's still on my phone. It is. Oh, yes. Matthew 5. And where is it? Oh. Well, it's here we go. Ye are the salt of the earth. This is Matthew 13. Matthew, Was it 5 verse 13? I don't know. I said it a bit ago. Ye are salt of the earth, and this is from the Geneva 1599 version. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt hath lost its Savior, wherewith shall it be salted? It is then forth good for nothing, but to be cast out, and to be trodden under foot of men. Well, ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light until all that are in the house. Let your light shine before men. Oh boy, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father, which is in heaven. Well, this is just delightful. I love how he works out. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy them, but to fulfill them. Under God. Oh boy, this is getting good. For truly I say unto you, till heaven and earth perish, one jot or one tittle of the law shall not escape, till all things be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall observe and teach them, see how my assignment works out? The same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. See how I just keep laying my treasures up there. Everybody's like, you're homeless, get a job. I don't care. I'm still alive, but man says I should be dead. He's calling me home when he's ready. So what do I keep getting to do? Teach. I just love this Geneva Bible, written for women, the strength of women. Every woman on earth needs to get themselves a copy or download a PDF today. Period. At the end, you're about to be enlightened. That should be your homework assignment for the entire weekend. And frankly, when you start reading it, as difficult as it is, you will start to understand the words. Just saying, you'll understand clearly what man has done to their power in this world. And I'm not talking just in the U.S. I'm talking about across the globe. So these scriptures are just here to prove it. I just love the wording and everything about this Geneva Bible. It's truly amazing, especially when he leads you on a path and you're about to cinch up some more nut sacks. I love that. I've been making these nuts for a while now, over a year, with coconut oil and my special blend of love. No drugs or anything in them. It's just amazing when you get to this point, and see my body is in. I'm almost doing a figure eight. I can feel the swaying. Yeah, I'm doing like a figure eight with my body. My body is in sync. It's in unity where it needs to be right now. So it doesn't, whatever my temperature is now, it doesn't matter, because my body is in perfect sync where it needs to be. That's one thing that I also have known throughout this whole journey in life is about, I've always been a rocker, and rocking forward and backward was always, it would always charge me up, but it would also calm me down. So as this whole last 2.5 years that I've been down, I've got more in sync with my energy level where I can feel darkness approaching. And I'm sure any of you have ever felt walking by somebody, there's a dark, you can feel their darkness, or you could feel if they're pissed off, or you can tell when somebody's coming towards you, if it's a lovey-dovey thing, or there's something on their mind or whatever. You can feel their energy. Well, when you get that much in tune with it, and then you start understanding what's going on with your body as the toxins are getting flushed out, because your doctor says, you know what, you've got this here, here, and here. So then when I take a remedy, I would focus on that part of my body so I could feel it moving. When you get that in tune with your body, it is amazing. When you add something into it, what it does to your temple that doesn't belong. And anything artificial for Natalie's body doesn't work. Everybody that's ever known me knows I'm allergic. So let's get back to the salt. We are the salt of the earth. We won't survive without salt. We'll be trodden by men. Well, what do you think they've been doing to us all these years? You know, when we were kids, and they came out with Diet Pop, my brother Mark called it Killer Pop. And he was right, if you think about it. It's got poison in it. It's high in sodium, no sugar. It's got poison, artificial whatever nonsense in it. What is it? Something that causes cancer. Everybody that I have ever known, that I've asked, how could you drink that stuff? Oh, you acquire a taste for it. No, that's not exactly true. Your body starts requiring it. Like my body is requiring chicken broth. Very salty chicken broth at that, to flush more toxins out of my body because I still have some edema down here. Even though man wants you to believe that the salt causes that. No, they're putting salt in so much product that your body doesn't taste it anymore. So you have to keep salting it on top of it. Why do you think people have issues with their hearts? So my body never required it till now, because my body's been healing itself ever since I got to Dr. Lonnie Herman in Davie, Florida. When I met up with that guy and the Tooth Genie, you want to talk about a dynamic duo. Dr. Gorbatov. Boy, oh boy. He's from Russia, right? Yeah, he's from Russia. Wow, is he something else? And boy, does he know his stuff. When I hooked up with them, I understood the magnitude of poisonings, starting with my mother when I was a child and all the tetracycline I was on, causing my teeth to be the color that they were. Even though people would buy you charcoal, toothpaste, whatever, to make them whiter, because apparently they weren't white enough for them to look at when I was around them. If they only knew my mom had been poisoning me and then taking me to the doctor to cover it up with tetracycline, yellowed my teeth. It doesn't matter. And what's funny is most dentists looked at my teeth and thought I whitened them. They thought they were extra super white. That's what they always said. Never wanted me to bleach them. But Dr. Gorbatov noticed the yellowing in them. That's how good he is. That's why when he had a patient that came in that had gone and had dental surgery from a Harvard dentist, they're not known for not dentists there, but you know, it is Harvard after all, did a botched job with all their dental work for a ton of money. Because remember, it's all about the money. So when you go to a doctor that teaches you about ridding your body of the toxins. So my first time in, my body could only have 3 spices. I could have turmeric, rosemary. I can't even remember the third one. So, I mean, I put turmeric on stuff because I knew it was good for me. Other than that, I could have cared less. I just used lemons and limes. I mean, when you're in the Florida Keys, you have fish and you have fresh everything. And they aren't poisoning you with toxic chemicals because they're all about, you know, everything natural. So when you're eating like that, you're barely spicing anything anymore. You don't need them. So today I'm like, you know what? I want to make this soup up. So why don't I do a video? And I haven't been cooking for a while in front of a video as I'm doing a sermon or my 2 cents worth on the world or whatnot. I thought, well, why not do it as I'm creating potato soup? Just saying. And I had a sneezing fit earlier because we've been doing a lot of dusting and stuff. So it's a little bit of roughness every once in a while, so forgive me. And it's funny, the mug that I picked out, it says, "There is only me stopping me from being successful." And I never was looking for that when I had my accounting practice. I could have cared less. I just wanted to make enough that I could share until God calls me home. I just didn't get the obedience memo, apparently. Dang it. I was doing so good, I thought. Well, not exactly. So anyway, so getting back to the salt intake. When you realize after reading the Bible that if you lose your saltiness, and I've always been salty, then you're going to be trodden on by men. I went, oh, wrong answer. I've never been a bowed down to mankind girl. Why else would I be single still? I always looked for a partnership and never just could find that here on earth. I tried. I married once. But I truly believe that man really didn't want to go through with it. Maybe he could say otherwise, but one only knows. I just think if you don't try the tux on the day of the before the wedding, what's the point in going through with it? And the photographs were priceless because they were smeared, every single one of them, by a professional photographer. Just saying. So, one never knows. But at any rate, I'm going to talk about this potato soup that I'm making. Get my notes out of what I wanted to talk about. Salt that our body requires, and mine has not ever needed, speaks volumes for me looking back now at life. I worked at McDonald's drive-through, and the obesity, and I'm sorry, it's pigs to a trough. I can't, that's the only way for me to look at it and say, I don't mean any disrespect, but McDonald's isn't what it used to be. We all know this. And when I would take orders, because I felt like I was at Cedar Point. Please pull around to the first window. Anybody that came and saw me at McDonald's when I did that job, took the money and took the orders. The number of people, what they would order, and then top it off with the Diet Coke. Well, do you think that Diet Coke is doing you any good? You've just ordered a pile of trough food, because let's just call it a trough. Call them Kettle Black. It's not the American dream that it started off as. All wholesome and wonderful. Because that tyrant regime got their hands involved. Just saying. Calling a spade a spade. So these people come in to McDonald's. And they or drive-through and get their big trough of food with the Diet Coke, and then wonder why a lot of them would order extra salt to top it off. Go on the French fries that were already salted plenty. Because for me, I always liked the amount of salt that they put on them. I don't know if there was ever a time they ever oversalted them in my at least in my experience. And so when you get to a point in your life that you're not salty and you're supplementing it, and then you start looking at what man says, about your heart rate and all that stuff. Well, my blood pressure is still 120 or less, usually less, over 60-ish. I shouldn't be here with all the things counting against me, but I don't live in fear. So I just keep living my life. I've got a butternut squash that I'm adding into it. I've already got in the pan onions, a Granny Smith apple, a Honeycrisp apple, and coconut oil. That's what I'm going to cook them in. So I hate that when I go to the side and then forget my train of thought. Diet Coke. It's amazing when you really start looking at then your clients that had some health issues. And some of them constantly dieting. But everybody has love for food. I mean, it tastes so good. But the problem is the more they pre-box stuff, the more poison that's in it. That's why when I make my hot cocoa, I know what's in it. I put milk in it. That's all that's in it. And not something that's, not good for my body. And then where was I going with this milk? Hold that thought. I hate that when I get in a train of thought and then I'm cutting up vegetables. I'm doing multiple things at once. But this butternut squash, I had cooked the other day to add it to some different soups, and then I ended up making it almost cooked up like a potato. I sauteed it in chicken broth and macadamia nut milk. No, take that back. Coconut milk. I added macadamia nut milk to a tuna Alfredo sauce that I made. So it's so right now I'm going to fry these all up together. And let me get back to my little script, so to speak, of what I wanted to talk about outside of the salt intake. And that's something that I mean, that's my daily thing now. If I start getting edema, I need more salt, and I need it in mass quantities. Plus, I need to, if Hannah's not laying on top of me, getting all the edema out, which she's getting wore out. So her brother now, King Rockford, he's come to the rescue and helping out. As soon as I get the, as usually when she lays on top of me is when I start feeling like the fluids are moving. But when you stand up and you can feel them collecting, well, that's the poison that needs to get out of your system. Everybody's like, oh, you just have too much salt in your diet. No, I don't have enough. Because if I did, it'd start flushing them out. Well, the reason why it's working is because that's how our body has been designed. But they're trying to alter the DNA and the way the composition of everything works to take your proteins to a level they're not supposed to be at. My doctor, the last time I went in, was finally showing the proteins in my body that were never there before, or they were so hidden. So my body's repairing itself. Case in point, I opened up a wound, poured salt on. The next day it was scabbed over, and I didn't put anything else on it. Salt cures. It cures meat. Let's think about it. Why wouldn't it help us? So I don't gain weight because my body only requires enough nutrients to keep it at its functioning level. So right now, my temperature being lower is helping my body heal itself. It's constantly changing. So like last night, I went up and I could feel I had like a hot flash, so to speak. What was helping sweat out of my pores, more toxic fluids. And when I woke up, I was like, man, I feel so much better. Now today I can still feel some edema a little bit right here, but it's completely out of my face, which is a huge thing. People don't realize how much this tyrant regime has attempted to hurt each and every one of us. That's my best way to describe it. You know, I went to school to be a bean counter, textbook, and I had my own practice for 18 and a half years. So trust me when I say I've seen it all. Grew up in a household where I was poisoned by a mother that went to school to be an RN. Never saw somebody study so much in their life. Anytime we had a blemish on our skin, we were at the doctor on tetracycline, which yellowed my teeth permanently. And amazing how the truth just keeps coming out as you get to a doctor that actually is here to heal, not to harm you with poison. I learned so much from Dr. Lonnie Herman about holistic medicine and purified water. So I knew when we got to the Florida Keys and Harley stopped drinking the water that it wasn't fit to drink. Even though everybody else says, oh, it's the best water in the world. Well, I have a client that studies water, and he's got 11 books on the market, and he says it's the worst water. Don't drink it, period, the end. So when your dog doesn't drink it, you know purified water is the ticket. And when you have a doctor that does holistic medicine and puts it in purified water, you know you've hit the jackpot. Amazing how God just works and gets you moving. So once your body gets to a certain state, it starts healing itself. And it requires certain foods. So juice is a requirement every day. And I do multiple juices. Like I'll do, pomegranate, blueberry, acai, cranberry, cider, orange juice. And then there's some days that my body just requires a mass amount of orange juice. And it may do it for several days in a row. But it doesn't really require anything else. I mean, it's mainly right now salt and juice. That's it. Anything else is bonus. So that's why I have so much fun cooking in the kitchen, because I'm like, ooh, I'm not doing it because my body needs to eat. Obviously it's gonna, but Hannah's having a ball because she eats everything that I cook because I want to know what she's getting in her body. And then there is dog food available that if she feels her body needs some more nutrients, she eats what she needs. So it's win-win. And then they forage in the outside. If you watch dogs, they forage all the time. But the majority of the dogs throw up from foraging here because they put toxic chemicals on the grass. Don't do that in the Florida Keys. In order for Hannah to throw up in the Florida Keys, she had to have a massive quantity of grass to coat her stomach because there's no chemicals down there. That's why the food was so much healthier. When I ate fruit, strawberries, first strawberry I got and took a bite of, I was like, oh my gosh, it tastes like a strawberry again. It tastes like plastic, cardboard, poison nonsense. I mean, I could taste the chemicals in food. So when you start cooking for yourself because you're on a limited diet of only a few things you can eat, I mean to tell you, it was unreal. I was like, well, I might as well just highlight only the foods I can eat, which I could eat all organic, fruits and vegetables, fish, but it was very limited. So I couldn't have any caffeine of any kind. I couldn't have tea, and I've had tea my whole life because it had gone to a toxic level. So what this Tyra regime doesn't want people to understand is their mindset doesn't equate to his mindset. God's methods are here to cure so that our body heals itself by just increasing your salt intake. Just saying. So man, that studied us long enough, come up with all these great little titles of diseases with a whole array of symptoms. And then they want to take no responsibility if they laugh themselves all the way to the bank. I mean, let's just face it, why else would THC and be illegal after they gave it away for free to study people and realized that it actually healed people and they couldn't make any money if people didn't eat poison drugs that come in a bottle like this with your name on it. How can they make money? They can't. So what do? Make it illegal. After they knew it helped these people. I learned that in tax class. That's when my education really got full swing. Because now I get to put to use everything I learned in school about how man has harmed we the people constantly over and over. I tell you right now, take the Apocrypha out of the Bible, the Geneva Bible, and wowza. The strength of a woman that they don't want women to know anything about. Oh, wrong answer. That's the one thing about Natalie, and that's why I remain single, despite all these women thinking I was after their husbands. You can't imagine how many men that approached me when I was single, and I said, go home to your wife. I even drove one home and gave him a lecture the whole way home. That's the kind of person I was, despite what anybody might have told you about me. And you could talk to, I could list multiple husbands that could tell you all about Natalie. And some of them that I was a designated driver driving them home, believe it or not. Even though that'd be hard for other people to understand too, because of, how rumors are in every town and city. Something that I call adult abuse and child abuse too, because the rumors that kids start on other kids hurting them. Some of them end up hurting themselves, or worse, die. It's really sad. So, something else that my brother and I used to talk about when we were kids, and we're kids and growing up in the 80s, where our families merged. It was like the Brady Bunch minus a girl on each side, because it was 2 boys and 2 girls. My brother Mark, very, very, very insightful, very observant, because he was very slow when he ate dinner, let it digest, and always watched people like I did. Boy, I learned from the best. Heck, we had a dad that played poker all the time, so we understand poker face. We learned it as kids, and then we just could watch it as we got older. Funny how that works out. Unfortunately, my stepdad doesn't have very good poker face. Oh well. I just pray. You see the light. Of course, too late. So anyway, here's my brother and I. We're growing up, and he talks about people light up cigarettes, and he called them cancer sticks. Well, let's talk about it. Just saying. Another addiction. That man they came out with patches to help you with your journey. But instead of them being weak to get you off, they make them stronger and make you crazy. To the point where you just take them off, and hopefully you learn your lesson. You don't have to smoke again, is the way I look at it. But, it's that morning cigarette and a cup of coffee is what I've heard people say. But frankly, I'm tired of cleaning up your mess, because the world is not your ashtray. Now, not all you smokers out there are litter bugs. But there are plenty of you out there that I'm tired of cleaning up your crap. And when Key West has a cleanup relief and picks up 5 gallons of cigarettes, well, that's not looking so good for you smokers. So I might suggest that in the future that people that smoke actually clean up after yourselves, because people like me are tired of cleaning up, and I'm not a smoker. So we're getting back to the smoking then. So cancer sticks. So my brother and I, growing up, anytime somebody lit up, oh, there goes another one, Mark, another cancer stick. Oh boy. And it's sad. I've tried to convince people to quit smoking cigarettes, but they're like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Well, you are what you eat, right? So you go to McDonald's, pull up to the trough, get yourself a Diet Coke, full of sodium, but it didn't have sugar. And then poison. Let's not forget the poison. And then you light up cancer stick after. Doesn't that sound tasty? And then you go to kiss somebody and you taste like that ashtray that you put your cigarettes that smell so beautifully on your clothing and your skin. Then you try to kiss a girl or kiss a guy if you're a woman smoker. It's like kissing and licking an ashtray. That's why I don't date smokers, because frankly, I don't care to lick or kiss an ashtray. It's the most disgusting taste ever. Kissing somebody, I shouldn't say somebody, kissing a guy that smokes makes you never want to kiss another guy again. But those that don't smoke, it's just a whole different ballgame. And I could do a whole segment on kissing. Oh boy, could I. Oh, I could do a whole book on kissing. Just saying. So if you think about this tyrant regime and their methods of healing, are not for healing, clearly. And I'm just going to keep going till he calls me home by doing my own science, using my Bible, and the Geneva one at that, as my manual. I should have done that a long time ago. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. Once you do that, you're in a whole different ballgame. Because you're no longer beating the clock. You're proving to them. They're not ruling the roost. Not in my life. I'm not conforming. I'm listening to him. He's telling me what to do. And if I'm not with the program, he makes sure that Hannah lets me know. And so far, they're not clinging on dishes for me to be drinking water. And that's what they do. My body doesn't need it. My body doesn't need any more fluids in it until the salt flushes out the toxins. See how your body works when you let it work the way that it's been designed by God? They want to tell you need to have massive amounts of water. Really? To go with all that salt. And you wonder why there's obesity. It's in everything, massive quantities of it. That's why sometimes when I eat, it's very hard for me to eat out because the food's too salty. That's why I always like to meet the chef at restaurants too, so they understand I don't salt my food. Very seldom do I salt the food. So, and it's amazing when you meet a chef of a restaurant with your diet and tell them about your dietary needs, how you form a bond. It's really cool. And then they want to know what you think of their dish they created specifically for you. I have enjoyed that amazingly ever since foods have gone to toxic levels in my body. And to start taking foods that have their own flavor in itself. And onions I use a ton of. I mean, I can't have enough onions in my household because why? They get bacteria out of your system. Not kidding you. In my office, I used to have onions, and I even had people bring them to me to put whole onion, and you could cut them in half if you wanted to, but I didn't do that. You put whole onions periodically through wherever, your house, your business, whatever, and you, more onions and coconut oil, because sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you feel like cinching them up. But anyway, it's amazing when you start looking at how man has taken everything out of context from the Bible. Truly, that's exactly what's happened. And the more I read, the more I uncover more truth. It's like I don't even think about what kind of diarrhea they're trying to feed people right now, because I'm trying to find more answers to poke holes in everything they tried to show as true and factual when all it was a big pack of lies in their web of lies. As they laugh all the way to the bank, as people are struggling daily to make ends meet or homeless, including yours truly. And not at all worrying about helping thy neighbor. It's a whole different kind of cruelty. And you know what? I never enjoyed being homeless in my entire life. I'm enjoying helping the friends that I stop along the way with their landscaping and whatnot. It's like being on a permanent vacation, but I'm also teaching God's word as I do it. And right now I'm able to use my girlfriend's beautiful kitchen that we keep updating with changes to make it more of I want to say a fellowship. It's kind of interesting. I was going to say something to Kelly about this because when I was required to go to the nut house and then group therapy, I was he talked about food and fellowship because I always was cooking. And I think that might be something we need to look at doing now that we're going to get some things going in. Could even come in the back door and we could have a little church service and some breakfast in my creative mind kitchen. Well, borrowed kitchen, I should say. So I put in, I used the water that I boiled the potatoes in because I scrubbed the potatoes. And honestly, if you get a little dirt in there, hey, your body needs it. That's the way I look at it. So, let's be honest. Our ancestors ate it. The dogs eat it. They foraged in the wilderness. So a little dirt's not going to hurt anybody. Many kids ate it when we were kids, and they're still alive today. So anyway, so I've got the water in there. I've got a little bit of chicken broth in there, but I haven't added any milks yet. So I'm going to wait. I want to start frying up the potatoes that have already been cooked. And I'm keeping the skins on because, what do they say about the skins are where a lot of the vitamins are. So why would I want to get rid of the water that we cooked them in? Why would we? You just don't. You just don't want to. That's more nourishment our bodies are not getting. So cooking for me has become, it's always been a love of mine. But something that my girlfriend Kelly and I started doing was I asked her if she what kind of costume she liked to be when she was a kid. And the one that stuck was Little Red Riding Hood. So I asked her if she had any baskets. I wasn't surprised when she came up with armloads. And I said, well, we need to start a little Operation Little Red Riding Hood and sharing the wealth in our kitchens. So if you think about it, how many people in their kitchen you make something and you always have leftovers and you end up throwing away. Well, how about you keep enough leftovers for how many you want and you share the wealth? And a neighbor, a friend, or somebody like us. Because we'll return it with something yummy, I promise. So Operation Red Riding Hood has already yielded fruit with some things that we needed that I was running out of. One thing I always need is onions, which I had said they help with bacteria in your body. So we try to add something sweet in it, and we always have to have a sack of nuts because let's just face it, girls, it's time we cinch up the nuts on these men that have been lying to us long enough in this tyrant regime. And every Little Red Riding Hood basket needs to have a quantity of nuts cinched up in a sack of your kind. It could be a Ziploc bag, whatever trips your trigger. It's all good. So that's kind of my twist on Halloween for adults because Wouldn't you rather share the wealth from your heart and your home to someone else's? I couldn't think of a better way of sharing something that I love so much with even people that I don't know. So I don't know. Why don't you try it in your neck of the woods? Operation Little Red Riding Hood. And you make sure you tell them a little story about yourself. And don't forget, cinching up the nut sacks. So, love to all bunches and bunches. Hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully, I didn't forget anything. If so, I'll have to look back and maybe add it. So, anyway, love to all bunches and bunches. Bye now.